The massive alien ships appeared in Earth's sky, casting long shadows over the cities below. They were so big, they blocked out the sun. People everywhere stared up, their hearts pounding with fear and confusion. News stations were flooded with reports about the strange objects hovering in the atmosphere. Some tried to run, others hid, but all were waiting for the worst. It was clear, something was coming. The ships descended slowly, their metallic surfaces gleaming in the daylight. A deep hum vibrated the air, sending chills down people's spines. It wasn't just a feeling of fear, it was the certainty that something terrible was about to happen. The first alien contact had not been peaceful, it had been a silent warning. The alien ships were like nothing anyone had ever seen. Huge and terrifying, they moved with precision and grace, almost as if they were guided by an unseen force. A deep voice echoed across the world's communications, a voice that was not in any language known to humans. But the message was clear. Humanity is weak. Prepare to be ruled. The people of Earth had no idea what was about to happen. The governments tried to respond, but their weapons were useless against the ships. Their fighter jets and tanks could do nothing but watch the invaders from afar. For the first time in history, humanity faced a true threat to its existence. In the midst of this chaos, one small group of humans stood apart. The crew aboard the Ark Defender, a ship built for emergencies and unknown threats, had been watching the alien ships from their command center. The Ark Defender wasn't part of any regular military force. It was a special project, funded secretly, and designed specifically for situations like this. It was equipped with advanced weapons and technology that no one outside of this group knew about. Its captain, Captain Sarah Bennett, stood tall and calm in the face of the unknown. "Captain," the communication officer said, "the alien ships are not responding to any of our messages. They are preparing something, maybe an attack." Captain Bennett didn't flinch. She had spent her life preparing for the unexpected, and now it was time to use every ounce of that preparation. She had no illusions about the enemy's strength, but she believed in humanity's ability to fight back. She turned to her crew. "We won't back down," she said. "Prepare the ship. We're going in." The crew worked quickly. The Ark Defender was ready. It wasn't as big as the alien ships, but it was fast, agile, and most importantly, equipped with weapons the aliens wouldn't expect. It was humanity's last chance to make a stand. As the Ark Defender powered up, Captain Bennett looked out at the sky. The alien ships seemed so much larger up close, almost like dark giants waiting to crush everything in their path. The crew was nervous, but their captain's confidence was enough to steady their nerves. They had no choice but to fight. The first shots came from the alien ships. A series of powerful beams of light shot out, crashing into the Earth's surface, causing massive destruction. The world watched in horror as entire cities were reduced to rubble. People screamed in terror, but amidst the chaos, there was a strange feeling that emerged. This wasn't the end. Not yet. The Ark Defender shot into the sky at incredible speed, its weapons ready for action. As they approached the alien ships, the crew prepared for whatever came next. They could already see the alien ship's strange weaponry charging up again. But this time, they would not just sit and watch. "We're not here to lose," Captain Bennett said firmly. "We're here to make them understand that we're not as weak as they think." The alien ships turned their attention to the Ark Defender, targeting it with energy blasts. But the ship was fast, too fast for the aliens to hit with precision. Captain Bennett expertly dodged each shot, keeping the ship just out of range. The aliens were surprised. They had assumed humans would be slow and predictable, easy to crush. But the Ark Defender was showing them something different. "Open fire," Captain Bennett ordered. The Ark Defender's weapons roared to life. A series of bright, powerful beams shot out, striking one of the alien ships. The aliens were not prepared for such an attack. Their shields flickered, then failed, and the ship began to break apart. The alien fleet seemed to hesitate for a moment, their initial confidence shaken. The humans had not given up. They had fought back. And for the first time, the aliens realized they might have underestimated humanity. Captain Bennett knew this was just the beginning. The aliens would come back stronger. But the humans had made a statement. They were not weak, and they would not be conquered without a fight. The battle in the sky continued, with the Ark Defender darting through the air, a tiny ship against massive alien forces. But the humans weren't afraid anymore. They had shown the aliens that they weren't as easy to defeat as they thought. The tide of the war had just begun to shift, and for the first time, the aliens might have a real reason to be afraid. As the ships clashed in the sky, humanity held its breath. This was only the beginning of the fight, but the message had been sent. Humans may not have the strength of the alien invaders, but they had something far more powerful: resilience. And the aliens were about to learn that humans would never give up without a fight. The aliens' first mistake was underestimating humanity. After their ships had launched their devastating attack, they expected the humans to crumble. They thought the people would panic, flee, and hide in fear. What they didn't account for was the humans' determination to survive, even against impossible odds. In the chaos of the initial attack, the Ark Defender became Earth's first line of defense. Its crew, a mix of skilled soldiers, engineers, and scientists, all knew what was at stake. Captain Bennett had no illusions about the strength of the alien forces, but she had faith in her people. She knew humanity's greatest strength wasn't in technology or firepower. It was in their spirit, their drive to push through no matter the cost. The aliens' initial shock at the Ark Defender's resistance was just the beginning. Their fleet, used to swift victories, was not prepared for the humans' unexpected resilience. The aliens had superior technology, huge ships, powerful weapons, and advanced technology. But they failed to account for the fact that humans didn't fight like the rest of the universe's races. Humans fought with their hearts, their minds, and their ability to adapt quickly to any situation. Captain Bennett had given the order to attack, and the Ark Defender's weapons roared to life. It wasn't an all-out assault, but a series of well-aimed tactical strikes. The humans had learned quickly from the aliens' attacks, analyzing their technology and identifying weaknesses in their systems. Their first strike hit an alien ship's weak spot, causing its shields to falter. The alien ship, which had once seemed indestructible, began to burn, sending sparks into the sky as it descended to the earth below. The aliens didn't expect this. Their leaders, confident in their technological superiority, assumed they were facing an easy conquest. But the humans had given them a painful reminder. No matter how advanced an enemy's technology might be, it was never enough to guarantee victory. If an enemy was willing to fight for their home, to protect their people, then they could overcome even the most powerful forces. The aliens scrambled to reorganize, but the Ark Defender didn't let up. Each time an alien ship regrouped, the humans would adjust, always staying one step ahead. The ship's advanced AI and the ingenuity of the crew made sure they never stayed in one place too long, always keeping the aliens guessing. The humans, working together, developed new tactics, ones the aliens hadn't prepared for. It wasn't just about fighting, it was about survival. And the crew of the Ark Defender had the willpower to do whatever it took to win. Meanwhile, the alien leaders began to question their intelligence. How could these humans, so clearly inferior in their eyes, keep holding their own against them? They had underestimated humanity's ability to learn and adapt. They had expected the humans to be uncoordinated, easy to frighten into submission. But humans were different. They were never quick to back down, and they had the ability to turn even the most hopeless situations to their advantage. The first alien commander, Zorath, paced back and forth in his ship's war room. His mind raced with frustration. "These humans are unlike any species we've encountered," he muttered. "We thought they would break easily, but they've only grown more determined." Zorath knew that if the aliens didn't act quickly, they risked losing control of the situation. They had underestimated humanity's ability to fight, to strategize, and to survive. But even more importantly, they hadn't anticipated the human capacity for unity. The people of Earth were not fighting individually. They were united. Every human on the planet, from the highest leaders to the everyday citizens, was now working toward one goal: survival. The humans' response to the attack had been organized and coordinated, much to the surprise of the aliens. The Ark Defender had led the charge, but every human on Earth had contributed in some way. Scientists worked tirelessly to improve Earth's weapons, engineers designed new defenses, and people on the ground assisted in evacuations and support. Humanity's collective will to fight was like nothing the aliens had ever seen before. Zorith, in his frustration, ordered his fleet to regroup and prepare for a counterattack. But this time, the aliens would be more careful. They wouldn't make the same mistake again. They would take the humans more seriously. Captain Bennett, however, knew this would be the turning point. The aliens were strong, but they were now aware that humanity wasn't as helpless as they had first thought. The aliens' arrogance had cost them. Now, they had to deal with the humans' ability to fight back. And this time, humanity would be ready. The Ark Defender's crew spent the next hours recharging and preparing for what was to come. Everyone understood the gravity of the situation. If they failed now, the aliens would overwhelm Earth. But if they succeeded, if they could hold their ground and keep resisting, the aliens might finally see that humans were not to be underestimated. As the first light of dawn broke over Earth, the aliens regrouped, their ships still hovering ominously in the sky. But humanity wasn't scared anymore. They had made their stand, and they would fight until the last breath. The first major battle between the two sides had been fought, and humanity had proved they could hold their own. The aliens had made their mistake. They thought humanity was weak. Now, it was time for them to see what happened when they pushed humans too far. The battle was far from over. In fact, it had only just begun. But as the Ark Defender prepared to launch again, Captain Bennett looked to her crew, her voice steady and full of determination. "This is just the start," she said. "We've shown them what we can do. Now, let's show them what we will do." Humanity had just made its first move, and the aliens were starting to realize that Earth was not a place they could conquer so easily. The war for survival had begun, and the humans weren't backing down. As the war raged on, humanity began to show the aliens something they had never seen before. The aliens, despite their overwhelming strength, failed to understand the humans' most powerful weapon: their ability to adapt and learn from every encounter. What seemed like a series of lucky strikes had now become something much more dangerous. The humans weren't just fighting back. They were getting stronger with each battle, improving their tactics and technology. Captain Bennett watched the battlefield from the Ark Defender's command deck. The alien ships had become more cautious after their first defeat, but the humans were beginning to turn the tide. In the aftermath of their previous victory, the crew had spent every available second studying the alien ships, analyzing their technology, and learning how they operated. They quickly realized that the aliens' advanced weapons, while powerful, had certain weaknesses they could exploit. "Captain," Lieutenant Harris said, breaking the silence in the command room, "we've found a pattern in their movements. They're not as unpredictable as we thought. They follow certain strategies, and we can use that to our advantage." Captain Bennett nodded. "I knew they weren't invincible. We just need to stay ahead of them. Their arrogance is their greatest flaw." The Ark Defender wasn't the only ship making progress. Around the world, scientists and engineers were working tirelessly, building new weapons and designing new defenses. Earth was no longer sitting idly by, hoping for salvation. Every human on the planet had become part of the war effort, from soldiers on the front lines to civilians working in factories, creating everything from shields to anti-alien technology. In one of Earth's hidden labs, Dr. Evelyn Chase, a top scientist, had made a breakthrough. She had discovered that the energy patterns used by the alien shields were unstable when exposed to certain frequencies. It wasn't enough to break their defenses entirely, but it could give the humans an edge, if they could find a way to harness it. Dr. Chase's discovery was quickly passed on to the military forces. With their new knowledge, they began to devise a weapon that would be capable of disabling the alien shields long enough for the Ark Defender and other ships to strike. It was a long shot, but it was humanity's best hope. Meanwhile, the alien leaders were growing more impatient. Zorath, the alien commander, knew the humans were evolving faster than they had anticipated. He had expected them to crumble under the pressure, but they were not. They were adapting, improving, and learning to fight back with increasing efficiency. Zorath's frustration was evident. "Why haven't we crushed them yet?" he demanded, slamming his fist onto the table in his war room. "Their technology is nowhere near ours, yet they continue to resist. They must be hiding something." One of his advisors, a younger officer, spoke up. "Commander, we are still dealing with a planet of primitives. Their ability to adapt is impressive, but we underestimate them no longer. We must be more aggressive in our tactics." Zorath paused, staring out at the stars. The humans' resistance had gone from an annoyance to a real threat. He knew the longer this war dragged on, the more dangerous it would become for his people. They couldn't afford to be outsmarted by a race they had once thought of as beneath them. But at the same time, Zorath's pride and arrogance made it hard for him to fully accept that the humans might be capable of outwitting them. It wasn't just about fighting to win anymore. It was about proving that they were the superior species. Back on Earth, the humans were readying their new weapon. The Ark Defender launched again, this time accompanied by several newly equipped ships that were designed to use the alien shield-disrupting technology. It was a risky move. If they failed, the human forces would be vulnerable to a full alien assault. But if they succeeded, they could level the playing field. As the fleet neared the alien ships, the tension was palpable. The air was thick with anticipation, and every crew member knew this mission could decide the future of humanity. Captain Bennett stood at the helm, her eyes sharp as she watched the alien fleet. They were massive, their ships hovering like giant, silent predators, but the humans were no longer intimidated. They had faced the worst and survived. They were ready. The battle began with the usual barrage of alien fire, beams of light raining down from the skies. But this time, the humans were prepared. The new weapons on the human ships fired back, sending out pulses of energy that struck the alien shields. The alien ships wavered, their protective barriers flickering and weakening. "It's working," Lieutenant Harris shouted, his voice filled with disbelief. "Their shields are failing." The humans pressed forward, their ships weaving in and out of the alien fleet, attacking from unexpected angles. The Ark Defender fired its main weapons, striking at the vulnerable alien ships. The battle was chaotic, with explosions lighting up the sky, but the humans had gained the upper hand. The alien ships were slower to react, their shields no longer as effective. Captain Bennett's mind raced. She knew this wouldn't be easy. One wrong move, and everything could come crashing down. The aliens weren't defeated yet, but for the first time, humanity had a real chance. With their new weapon and the aliens' confusion, the humans pressed on, continuing to hit the aliens where it hurt. The alien fleet, once so confident in their strength, was now retreating. For the first time, they were on the defensive. But the war was far from over. The aliens would learn from this defeat, and they would return with new strategies and tactics. The humans knew this, but they also knew something else. They had proven their strength. They had shown the aliens that they were not weak, and that was a victory in itself. As the Ark Defender pulled back to regroup, Captain Bennett stared out at the damaged alien fleet. "This is just the beginning," she said quietly, to herself more than anyone else. "But it's a start, and that's all we need." The battle had taken a turn, but there was no time to celebrate. The aliens, although forced to retreat for the moment, were regrouping. Zorath, still nursing the sting of his fleet's first significant defeat, was already formulating his next strategy. The humans had proven themselves more capable than he had expected, and that was a dangerous realization. He could not afford another setback. If humanity kept adapting at this rate, the aliens would lose not just the battle, but the entire war. Captain Bennett knew this. She had expected the aliens to retaliate with greater force. It was only a matter of time before they figured out how to counter the humans' new weapon. The brief moment of victory, however sweet, was fleeting. She gathered her crew on the Ark Defender's command deck. "We've gained ground, but we cannot get complacent," she said, her voice steady but filled with determination. "We've learned a lot from the last battle. The aliens are vulnerable, but they will adapt. We need to stay ahead of them." Her crew nodded in agreement. Everyone knew what was at stake. Earth had been saved from immediate destruction, but there was still a war to win. They had to stay vigilant and keep improving if they hoped to survive. In the following days, humanity scrambled to capitalize on their newfound advantage. Scientists and engineers worked tirelessly to upgrade their weaponry and defenses. The war had sparked a wave of innovation across the planet. The first attempts to build countermeasures for the alien weapons were rudimentary, but effective enough to disrupt the aliens' attacks. A new generation of fighter jets, adapted to fight in space, began to take shape. Meanwhile, the aliens were not idle. Zorath's forces, though bruised, were relentless. He understood the mistake they had made, underestimating the humans, and he would not make it again. His fleet retreated to a hidden asteroid field, where they began to rebuild and retool. Zorath ordered a massive overhaul of their strategies. The alien forces would be stronger, faster, and more lethal. They had learned from their initial engagement, and they would not make the same mistake twice. The aliens began launching new prototypes into the field, ships that could adapt faster than the humans could develop countermeasures. Their weapons became more refined, and their strategies more calculated. Zorath had ordered that the human weakness, their reliance on specific tactics, be studied and exploited. He knew the human spirit was strong, but their technology was still inferior. The key to victory would be to wear them down, to outlast them in a prolonged war. As the days passed, Earth's defenses continued to improve, but the pressure was mounting. The humans knew they were racing against time. While the aliens were rearming and strategizing, humanity was on the edge of a technological breakthrough. Dr. Evelyn Chase, who had been working on ways to enhance human ships with alien tech, was close to something that could change the course of the war. She had discovered a rare material on one of the downed alien ships, a material that could amplify energy weapons beyond anything humans had ever achieved. With the aliens regrouping and preparing for a counteroffensive, the humans needed this breakthrough now more than ever. Dr. Chase worked day and night, along with a team of top engineers, to integrate the alien material into their ships. They knew the risks. If the material wasn't properly handled, it could cause a catastrophic failure, but the potential rewards outweighed the dangers. As Captain Bennett prepared for what was sure to be another intense battle, the news of Dr. Chase's progress reached her. The new weapon, if successful, could give humanity the edge they so desperately needed. But the time to deploy it was running out. The alien fleet was on the move, and they were heading straight for Earth. The Ark Defender took the lead, accompanied by the newly modified ships. Captain Bennett's crew was on edge, knowing that this would be their most dangerous mission yet. They had the technology, they had the strategy, but the alien fleet was formidable. The time for experimentation was over. It was now or never. As the human fleet approached the alien forces, tension filled the air. The enemy ships were massive, more numerous than ever before. The humans' weapons were ready, but would they be enough? Captain Bennett could feel the weight of her responsibility, the lives of billions on her shoulders. She had led her crew through the first wave of attacks, but this would be different. This time, the aliens had come prepared. "Engage," Captain Bennett commanded. The Ark Defender fired its first shot, the energy beam crackling through space toward an alien ship. It hit its target, and for a moment, the humans held their breath. The alien ship's shield flickered, but it held. The humans had known the aliens would improve, But seeing it in action made the stakes even clearer. The battle quickly escalated, both sides unleashing a barrage of attacks. The alien ships were faster, more agile, and more aggressive than before, but the humans had the advantage of their new weapons, and for the first time, it seemed like the aliens might be on the back foot. The new human ships, outfitted with the alien material, fired with an intensity the aliens had never faced before. The beams were concentrated, piercing through the alien ship shields and causing explosions that sent shockwaves through their fleet. The aliens were caught off guard. This wasn't the fight they had prepared for. Zorath watched from his flagship, fury building in his chest. The humans were learning faster than he had ever thought possible. It was no longer a matter of simply overpowering them. The humans were becoming formidable opponents. He ordered his fleet to regroup and reassess. They had to find a way to break through the human defenses, or they risked losing the war. As the battle raged on, the Ark Defender and its fleet continued to press the attack. But Captain Bennett knew that the fight wasn't over. The aliens were still powerful, still deadly, but the humans had something the aliens couldn't replicate: a fierce, unyielding will to survive. The battle stretched on, the tide shifting back and forth. Humanity had fought hard and made significant progress, but the alien forces were not easily defeated. Captain Bennett's crew had one more advantage: unity. The humans were working together, fighting not just for survival, but for the future of their species. And in the face of overwhelming odds, that might be the greatest weapon of all. The situation had reached a critical point. The war was no longer just a battle of weapons and technology. It had become a battle of wills. The aliens, though technologically superior, had failed to account for one essential factor: the human will to survive. They had underestimated humanity's ability to adapt, innovate, and fight with everything they had. But now, the alien forces were evolving, and the pressure was mounting on Earth's defenders. On the Ark Defender, Captain Bennett stood before her crew, their faces grim but determined. The latest battle had been a success, but it was clear the aliens were growing more ruthless. Their fleets were no longer just attacking. They were targeting humanity's most critical resources: cities, power grids, food supplies. Everything was now a target. The aliens were no longer content with just defeating the humans. They wanted to break their spirit. "We need to stay one step ahead," Captain Bennett said, her voice steady, but a hint of urgency in her tone. "The aliens have been picking off our resources, and we can't let that continue. We need to hit them where it hurts. Fast." Lieutenant Harris nodded in agreement. "We've been looking into their supply lines. If we can disable their resources, we might be able to force them into a retreat." The human fleet had learned a valuable lesson in their previous engagements. The aliens were formidable, but they weren't invincible. By targeting the alien support systems, the humans could weaken them. The Ark Defender's crew began planning a daring mission: an assault on an alien refueling station located on a distant moon, deep within enemy territory. If they could destroy it, they could cripple the alien fleet's ability to maintain their assault on Earth. The mission was risky, but it was the only viable option. If they didn't act soon, the aliens would have the strength to crush any resistance left on Earth. With the aliens' superior technology, the human forces had no choice but to strike at their most vulnerable points, attacking the infrastructure that held the enemy's forces together. The crew worked day and night, preparing for the mission. Engineers reinforced the ships, ensuring they would have the firepower and agility needed to infiltrate the alien defenses. Dr. Chase and her team worked on enhancing the newly developed energy weapons, increasing their effectiveness against alien shields. The sense of urgency was palpable, but so was the determination. Meanwhile, Zorath's forces were planning their own offensive. The alien commander had finally acknowledged the humans' tenacity. They had proven themselves capable of surviving against overwhelming odds, and Zorath knew that if the humans were allowed to build up their defenses, they could be a serious threat. He ordered his fleet to continue its attacks on Earth's resources, but this time, He also began gathering reinforcements. Zorath was preparing for a final push to break humanity's will completely. But Zorath's arrogance clouded his judgment. He didn't anticipate the humans' next move, their ability to turn the tide with a single bold strike. The day of the mission arrived. The Ark Defender and a small fleet of ships launched into the vastness of space, heading for the alien refueling station. They traveled through asteroid fields and empty stretches of space, staying under the radar to avoid detection. Every crew member knew the stakes. This mission could make or break the war. If they failed, the alien forces would continue their assault, and Earth's last hope would be extinguished. As the fleet neared the alien station, they encountered the first signs of enemy presence. Alien scout ships patrolled the area, their sleek forms gliding silently through space. The Ark Defender's crew knew they had to be careful. A single wrong move, and they would be detected. Captain Bennett ordered the fleet to split up, each ship taking a different route to approach the station. They would use the cover of the asteroids to avoid detection, striking quickly and disappearing before the aliens could mount a defense. The plan was risky, but the crew was confident in their abilities. The aliens had underestimated them before, and this time, they would make sure the enemy didn't get the chance to react. The human ships moved swiftly and silently, evading the alien patrols as they closed in on the refueling station. The station itself was massive, an industrial hub designed to supply the alien fleet with the fuel and resources it needed to continue its invasion. Destroying it would cripple the alien forces, at least temporarily. As the Ark Defender and its allies prepared for the final assault, the aliens detected the humans' approach. An alarm blared on the alien station, and the station's defense systems powered up. Zorath, watching from his flagship, snarled in frustration. The humans had come for the station, just as he had feared. He had hoped to catch them off guard, but now they were in position, ready to strike. "Prepare for combat," Zorath ordered. "We will not allow them to destroy our supply lines." The alien ships, now fully alert, moved to intercept the human fleet. The battle was on. The first exchange of fire was intense. The human ships unleashed their newly enhanced energy weapons, targeting the alien station's power generators. Explosions erupted across the station's surface as the alien shields flickered and weakened. The aliens fought back with their own devastating firepower, but the human ships were faster, more agile. They darted in and out of range, striking at the station's critical components. In the midst of the chaos, the Ark Defender took its position, preparing to deliver the final blow. The alien station's central core was exposed, vulnerable. Captain Bennett gave the order, and the ship's main weapon fired. The beam struck the core directly. The explosion that followed was immense, sending shockwaves rippling through space. The alien station disintegrated, and a massive fireball bloomed in the vacuum of space. The humans had succeeded. The alien fleet was crippled. But Zorath was not one to accept defeat so easily. As his remaining ships regrouped, he issued a final order. "Prepare for a counteroffensive. This battle is not over." Captain Bennett, watching the explosion from the Ark Defender's bridge, knew that while the victory was significant, it was only a temporary respite. The aliens would come for Earth again, but the humans had shown something the aliens had not counted on: resilience. This was only one battle in a much larger war, but humanity had proven that it could fight back, and against all odds, win. The fight for Earth was far from over, but for the first time, the humans had a real chance, and they were ready to take it. The aftermath of the explosion was still echoing across space, but the war was far from over. The destruction of the alien refueling station had been a significant blow, yet the reality was clear. The alien fleet was vast, and they would rebuild. Captain Bennett knew that this battle was merely one step towards something much larger, something more dangerous. The aliens had underestimated humanity once, but they wouldn't make the same mistake again. And now, humanity was about to face a new, more ruthless phase of the war. On Earth, The mood was a mixture of relief and apprehension. The victory had lifted spirits, but the cost of the war was becoming apparent. Cities had been destroyed, resources were stretched thin, and the constant bombardment from alien forces had taken its toll. In every corner of the planet, people were working together to rebuild, to recover, and to prepare for the next assault. But the question on everyone's mind was, how much longer could they hold out? Captain Bennett and her crew knew that humanity had to strike before the aliens could regroup. They could not afford to wait. The momentum from the destruction of the alien station had given the humans a brief advantage, but it wouldn't last. Zorath would soon send reinforcements, and once the aliens' full force arrived, humanity's chances of survival would diminish drastically. "We need to keep pushing forward," Bennett said, her eyes scanning the reports from Earth. "The aliens have regrouped before, and they will again. But this time, we need to be the ones catching them off guard." Her strategy was clear. If they could strike at the heart of the alien fleet, perhaps destroy their command structure, they could cripple the entire invasion effort. But getting to the heart of the alien fleet would require a precise, coordinated attack, and it was going to be dangerous. The human fleet wasn't large enough to wage a prolonged campaign. But with a focused effort, they could still make a difference. Bennett called for a council of her top officers. They needed to strategize, to plan their next move carefully. Every ship in the human fleet was crucial now, and any mistake could lead to disaster. "Captain," Lieutenant Harris began, "we've analyzed the data from the destroyed refueling station. There's a pattern to their operations, a central hub for command. It's deep within their fleet. If we can infiltrate it and disable their command ship, we might throw them into disarray." Bennett nodded. It was a bold move, but it was their best shot. "How soon can we be ready to strike?" Harris studied the map of the alien fleet displayed on the screen. "We'll need about 3 days to make the necessary adjustments to our ships. If we launch too soon, we risk failure. But if we wait too long, we risk giving them time to regroup." The next 3 days were a whirlwind of activity. Engineers worked around the clock to retool human ships with the latest tech. Dr. Chase, with her team of scientists, developed a new form of electromagnetic pulse, EMP, weapon that could disable the alien communication systems without causing widespread destruction. The key was precision. If they could disable the alien fleet's communication, the aliens would lose their ability to coordinate effectively. It was a risky gambit, but if it worked, it would give humanity the upper hand. Bennett's crew wasn't the only one hard at work. Across Earth, civilians were continuing their efforts to rebuild. The factories were now producing weapons, armor, and supplies faster than ever before. Humanity had entered a state of total war, with every person doing their part to fight the alien menace. But the aliens' next attack was inevitable. It was a matter of when, not if. As the human fleet prepared to launch their strike, Zorath watched from his command ship, plotting his next move. His forces had been stung by the loss of the refueling station, but they had learned their lesson. He was no longer underestimating the humans. If anything, their adaptability made them even more dangerous. But the alien commander had a plan of his own. His fleet was assembling for a counteroffensive, one that would leave no room for human resistance. His ships were already on their way, ready to crush Earth's defenses once and for all. Zorath's forces moved swiftly, their ships approaching Earth at high speed. They had been given new orders to hunt down the human fleet and destroy it before they could cause any further damage. Zorath's pride demanded nothing less than the complete annihilation of the human threat. He was prepared to wipe out every last vestige of resistance on Earth. No more mistakes. As the human fleet closed in on the alien command ship, Bennett's crew could feel the weight of the moment. This was it, the chance to cripple the alien leadership and change the course of the war. They were prepared for anything. The ships moved into position, hiding in the shadows of an asteroid field. The alien fleet had no idea they were being watched. The final assault began. Human ships burst from the shadows, firing their newly enhanced weapons at the alien fleet. The first wave of fire was enough to disrupt the alien defenses, but it was only a distraction. The real attack came from the Ark Defender, which moved toward the alien flagship, the command center of the entire invasion. Zorath saw the humans approach and snarled. He had expected them to strike, but not so soon. He gave the order to engage. The alien fleet opened fire, but the humans were too fast. Their ships darted around the alien attacks, returning fire with deadly precision. The battle raged, but Bennett's eyes were fixed on the alien command ship. It was their only target now. The Ark Defender broke through the alien lines, its weapons charging for the final strike. Zorath watched, fury and disbelief mixing in his mind. How had the humans managed to get this close? His flagship's shields flickered as the human ships unleashed their full firepower. The alien fleet, though numerous, was beginning to fall apart under the pressure. Zorath, now in a blind rage, ordered his remaining ships to focus all fire on the Ark Defender. The humans had made a mistake, drawing too close, but Bennett's crew was prepared for this. The alien firepower was overwhelming, but the Ark Defender had been reinforced with the latest human tech, including shields designed to absorb and dissipate energy. The final moments of the battle were chaotic. The Ark Defender charged toward the alien command ship, and just as the alien ships launched their final barrage, the EMP weapon was fired. A pulse of energy spread through the alien fleet, cutting off their communication and disrupting their defenses. The alien ships faltered, unable to coordinate their movements. The Ark Defender and the human fleet seized the opportunity. With one final, coordinated strike, they hit the heart of the alien invasion fleet. Zorath's flagship exploded in a burst of energy, and with it, the alien command structure crumbled. The battle was over. The aliens were retreating. But Captain Bennett knew this wasn't the end. The aliens would regroup again, and they would come back stronger. But this victory, this crushing blow to their leadership, had bought humanity the time it needed. It was a moment of triumph, but there was still so much more to fight for. The war was far from over. The future of humanity depended on the strength, resilience, and unity they had shown in these darkest of times. The silence in the aftermath of the battle was deafening. The explosion of Zorath's flagship had sent shockwaves through space, and the alien fleet was scattering in every direction. The human fleet, battered but unbroken, hovered among the wreckage, their victory still fresh, but the war far from over. Captain Bennett stood at the command deck of the Ark Defender, her eyes scanning the results of the battle. The alien forces had been dealt a significant blow, but the cost of that victory was clear. The war had left its mark on them all. The fleet had won a crucial victory, but Zorath's forces were not entirely defeated. The command ship had been destroyed, but the alien fleet was vast, and its leaders were already preparing a new strategy. Captain Bennett's mind raced. She knew that they couldn't afford to rest on their laurels. Earth's defenses were weakening, and the next wave of alien retaliation would come soon. The victory had bought them time, but not enough time to end the war. She turned to her crew, who were huddled around the holographic display, tracking the alien fleet's movements. "We've dealt them a massive blow," she said, her voice steady despite the weight of the situation. "But don't think for a moment that they'll stop coming. They'll regroup. They'll rebuild. And we need to be ready for that." Lieutenant Harris, ever the optimist despite the circumstances, spoke up. "We've done it before. We can do it again. We've got the upper hand now, Captain. We've seen how vulnerable they are when their command is disrupted. It's only a matter of time before they crack." Captain Bennett nodded but knew that Harris's optimism was built on hope more than hard facts. The aliens had proven themselves to be resilient and resourceful. Humanity's recent triumphs were not guaranteed to continue. There was still so much unknown about the aliens' next move, and she had no intention of waiting idly to find out. Dr. Chase had been working tirelessly, analyzing the remains of the alien ships, searching for any technological advantage they could use to turn the tide of the war. Her latest breakthrough had been a potential game changer, an alien drive system capable of faster-than-light travel. If humanity could replicate it, they could not only defend Earth but strike at the heart of the alien empire itself. But that was still a distant dream. For now, they had to focus on surviving the immediate threat. Back on Earth, the situation was dire. The aliens had been relentless in their attacks on human cities and resources, and the planet was in a state of near-total war. But in the midst of the destruction, humanity had begun to unite in ways it never had before. Governments had put aside their differences, pooling their resources for the common cause. The human race, often fragmented and divided, had found a shared purpose. And with that purpose came a new resolve. The fight was no longer just about defending Earth. It was about ensuring the survival of the species. It was about showing the aliens that humanity would not be crushed. But there were still internal struggles to overcome. Resources were stretched thin. Millions of people had lost their homes, their families, and their livelihoods. The war was taking its toll, and not everyone was willing to fight for a future that seemed so uncertain. Despair began to set in among the people of Earth. Could they truly win this war, or had the aliens already marked them for extinction? Captain Bennett knew that her crew was feeling the strain. She had seen it in their faces after every battle. They were giving everything they had, but even the strongest warriors could be worn down by continuous hardship. The pressure was building, and she could feel it in her bones, but there was no room for doubt. Not now. Not when humanity's future hung in the balance. "We need to stay united," Bennett said, her voice firm. "We've faced worse odds before. We've shown them what we're capable of. But it's going to take everything we have to finish this." The crew nodded, and for the first time in days, Bennett could see a flicker of hope in their eyes. It wasn't much, but it was enough to keep pushing them forward. Meanwhile, the aliens were not idle. Zorath, despite the loss of his flagship, was far from defeated. The alien commander was already making plans for a full-scale retaliation. He had retreated to the far reaches of space to lick his wounds, but his pride was still intact. The humans had shown that they could hurt him, and that made them even more dangerous in his eyes. He would not let Earth become the symbol of his failure. Zorath knew that humanity's next move was inevitable. They would strike again. But this time, he would be ready. He had already ordered reinforcements to be dispatched from the alien homeworld. The forces that were coming would be greater, more powerful, and better prepared. He had learned from his mistakes. He had learned that the humans were capable of turning the tide of a battle in the blink of an eye. But this time, he would ensure that they would not get the chance. As the alien reinforcements began their journey to Earth, Zorath's mind worked on a new strategy. He had to find a way to strike at the heart of humanity's resolve. He knew the humans would fight for their planet, but if he could break their will to resist, he would win the war without ever firing another shot. Zorath's plan was simple. He would begin by targeting the leaders of the human resistance, cutting off the heads of their command structure. He would send small, covert teams to eliminate key figures within humanity's military and political structure. If he could shatter the leadership, the rest of the humans would crumble. Back on Earth, as the news of the impending alien reinforcements spread, fear began to take hold once again. The human race had barely recovered from the last wave of attacks, and the idea of facing an even larger, stronger alien fleet was almost too much to bear. Yet, amid the fear, there was also a new sense of defiance. The humans had proven their strength once, and they could do it again. Captain Bennett addressed her crew one last time before they prepared for the next stage of the war. "We've faced impossible odds before, and we're going to face them again. The aliens think they can break us, but they haven't seen what we're really capable of. We're going to hit them harder, and we're going to hit them where it hurts." Her words resonated throughout the Ark Defender. The crew had seen the depths of human resilience, and now they understood what they were fighting for. Not just Earth, but the very soul of humanity itself. The battle for Earth was far from over, but Captain Bennett and her crew And the people of Earth knew one thing for certain: they would fight until the very end. They would give everything they had to survive. And they would show the aliens that humanity was not a species to be underestimated. Humanity's story was just beginning.